3 friends. So today we are reading The Ugly Vegetables. And the author, the person that wrote the book, is Grace Lynn. The Ugly Vegetables. In the spring, I helped my mother start our garden. We used tall shovels to turn the grass upside down, and I saw pink worms wriggle around. It was hard work. When we stopped to rest, we saw that the neighbors were starting their gardens too. "Hello, Irma," my mother called to Miss Coumarine. Mrs. Coumarine was digging too. She was using a small shovel, one that fit in her hand. "Mommy," I asked, "why are we using such big shovels? Mrs. Coumarine has a small one." "Because our garden needs more digging." I helped my mother plant the seeds, and we dragged the hose to the garden. "Hi, Linda. Hi, Mickey," I called to the Fitzgeralds. They were sprinkling water on their garden with green watering cans. "Mommy," I asked, "why are we using a hose? Linda and Mickey are using watering cans." "Because our garden needs more water." Then my mother drew funny pictures on a piece of paper. "Hello, Roseanne," my mother called across the street to Mrs. Angel Howe. "Mommy," I asked, "why are you sticking these papers in the garden? Mrs. Angel Howe has seed packages in her garden." "Because our garden is going to grow Chinese vegetables," she told me. "These are the names of the vegetables in Chinese, so I can tell which plants are growing where." Let's see. There we go. One day, I saw our garden growing little green stems that looked like grass had popped from the ground. "Our garden's growing," I yelled. "Our garden's growing." I rushed over to the neighbors' gardens to see if they had grown. Their plants looked like little leaves. "Mommy," I asked, "why do our plants look like grass? The neighbors' plants look different." "Because they are growing flowers," she said. "Why can't we grow flowers?" I said. "These are better than flowers." Soon all the neighbors' gardens were blooming up and down the street, rainbows of flowers. The wind always smelled sweet, and butterflies and bees flew everywhere. Everyone's garden was beautiful except for ours. Ours was all green and ugly. "Why didn't we grow flowers?" I asked again. "These are better than flowers," Mommy said again. I looked but only saw black, purple, green vines, fuzzy wrinkled leaves, prickly stems, and a few little yellow flowers. "I don't think so," I said. "You wait and see," Mommy said. Before long, our vegetables grew. Some were big, some were lumpy, some were thin and green and covered with bumps, and some were just plain icky yellow. They were ugly vegetables. Sometimes I would go over to the neighbors and look at their pretty gardens. They would show the poppies and peonies and petunias to me, and I would feel sad that our garden wasn't as nice. One day, my mother and I picked the vegetables from the garden. We filled a whole wheelbarrow full of them. We wheeled them to the kitchen. My mother washed them and took a big knife and started to chop them. "Ay-yow," she said when she cut them. She had to use all of her muscles. The vegetables were hard and rough. "This is a shou huanggua," Mommy said, handing me a bumpy, curled vegetable. She pointed at the other vegetables. "This is xian sei. This is torn hao." I went outside to play. While I was playing catch with Mickey, a magical aroma filled the air. I wonder what it is. I saw the neighbors standing on their porches with their eyes closed, smelling the sky. They took deep breaths of air like they were trying to eat the smell. Must have been those yummy, ugly vegetables cooking. The wind carried up and down the street. Even the bees and the butterflies seemed to smell the scent in the breeze. I smelled it too. It made me hungry, and it was coming from my house. There's the scent blowing all the way to her home. When I followed it to my house, my mother was putting a big bowl of soup on the table. The soup was yellow and red and pink and green, yellow and red and green and pink. This is a special soup, Mommy said, and she smiled. She gave me a small bowl full of it, and I tasted it. It was good. The flavors of the soup seemed to dance in my mouth and laugh all the way down to my stomach. I smiled. Do you like it? Mommy asked me. I nodded and held out my bowl for some more. It's made from our vegetables, she told me. Then the doorbell rang, and we ran to open the door. Oh, that soup looks yummy, friends. All of our neighbors were standing at the door holding flowers. We noticed you were cooking, Fitzgerald laughed as he held out his flowers, and we thought maybe you might be interested in a trade. And we laughed. My mother gave them each their own bowl of her special soup. My mother told them what each vegetable was and how she grew it. She gave them the soup recipe and put some soup into jars for them to take home. I ate 5 bowls of soup. It was the best dinner ever. The next spring, when my mother was starting her garden, we planted some flowers next to the Chinese vegetables. Mrs. Q. Marine, the Fitzgeralds, and the Angel House planted some Chinese vegetables next to their flowers. Soon the whole neighborhood was growing Chinese vegetables in their gardens. Up and down the street, little green plants poked out of the ground. Some looked like leaves and some looked like grass. And when the flowers started blooming, you could smell soup in the air. And so, friends, here is the list of the Chinese vegetables on the back. So you can pause this and read it if you would like to. And there's even a recipe here for the ugly vegetable soup. Okay, friends, this was such a great book. I really loved how even though she wasn't growing flowers, her mom wasn't growing flowers, she learned why her mom was growing the Chinese vegetables. She got to have such yummy soup, and then her neighbors also got to learn that Chinese vegetables are really good in soup, and they started growing it too. So I want to know, what did the little girl learn about Chinese vegetables? What did she learn about Chinese vegetables and what she can do with them? I would also like to know, why did the rest of the neighborhood show up at their door? Why did the rest of their neighborhood show up at their door? I can't wait to hear your answers. See you next time.